It's the Arch Advocate Show, and boy, do we got a lot to get to today. 3 different topics. The final topic will be Bible stuff. The other 2 topics will be President Donald J. Trump declassifying some of those text messages from Peter Strzok and his girlfriend. This has wild and long implications. But first, boy, Kavanaugh, man, I'm gonna tell you like Van Halen told you, man. Kavanaugh, 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 man. Look at what Dianne Feinstein did, and what does this mean long term? And to the atheist, right now, listen. I may not be able to convince you that there is a supreme good in the universe, that all things come together at a certain point and it has its own personality. But what I can prove to you is that there is evil in the world. Look at what's happening here, right? They take Kavanaugh. He's the nomination, right? He's and the runner-up, by the way, in my opinion. I could be wrong about this, but the runner-up was the Catholic lady, right? And her stance on Roe v. Wade is very clear. Right, so it's like, hey, Democrats, like, what do you think you're gonna get if you defeat Kavanaugh? Right, other than like, sure, if you do that, you're gonna have that precedent. Maybe if you get a victory here, you can carry that into like another victory, because that lady, and I beg your pardon for not having that pulled up, but the other person that was going to get the nomination for the Supreme Court was the Catholic lady. And she was like, yeah, I would have no problem turning over Roe v. Wade because she's devout. So it's like, hey, Democrats, like, what do you think? What are you thinking here? Right? Kavanaugh is like, he's like, hey man, Roe it's the law, and it's been argued many times, and it's the law. You can't just go in there and turn it over. But that Second Amendment. You know what I mean? He's very pro Second Amendment. But look at what's happening here. And again, it's, you have to appreciate like the metaphysical side of this, right? The spiritual side of this and the economics of what's happening here. The economics of evil, right? Now, it's going to be difficult for me to not get into the Bible stuff on what's happening here, but what they're trying to do is to gain real estate, right? If they can get a win, and they see taking out Kavanaugh as a win for them. But why would you want it? Why would you want that? Why would you want to sacrifice so much for a W? Because what do you really win? No matter what happens with Kavanaugh, Donald J. Trump is still the president of the United States, and it is from the executive office that a Supreme Court justice gets nominated. That's how that works. What do you get if you get this win? What do you get? Right? Donald Trump can still nominate whoever he wants. And we can do this over and over and over again, but that guy is still going to be in office for 2 years, and it's looking like 8, because the Democrats, it's like, man, they can't help themselves. They just cannot seem to help themselves. They keep trotting out these losers. As the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was on TV yet again, just making an ass of herself. It's mind-boggling. She's up there talking about $30 trillion and $38 trillion, and she's just talking about tens of trillions of dollars like it's nothing. Like an idiot. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. And the crazier thing is that like there's people out there, educated people, right? Like my buddy Sam, he's just like, oh yeah, man. She's legit. It's like, dude, are you listening to what she is saying? Well, yeah, sometimes she doesn't make the best arguments. Like, no. Are you listening to what she's saying? She doesn't know anything. and you want her to represent you in Congress. Why? What? You know what I mean? Like, I understand you don't like the other guy, but giving your vote to her because you don't like the incumbent who is a Democrat, it's like, that's not a good enough reason. What you need to do is go out there and find somebody that you do like and say, listen, goddammit, you're running for Congress. Right? I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to do all the work. You know what I mean? Or do it yourself. You run for Congress, but you can't let these idiots. You got Beto O'Rourke down there in Texas, who is already a congressman, which is baffling to me. Like, this guy has a criminal record, right? His family has some very shady, shisty stuff on their record because his dad's a judge and his mom's, or vice versa, whatever. Like, his parents are like judges and politicians and whatnot. And they've been accused of laundering money for the cartel. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just throw those accusations around. There's like a whole story behind that, but yet, he's running for senator, and, keeping in mind that every state only gets 2 senators. There's only 100 senators. That's all there is. And Beto O'Rourke might be one of them. And now you got Willie Nelson talking about like he's behind the cause of Beto O'Rourke. It's like, what, is nobody looking at what's happening here? Do you not care about these people's lives and what kind of people they are? It's nuts. And there is an evil at work here where there's, it's not just the fact that Dianne Feinstein wants to run this girl out and make accusations of rape, right? That's like, of like the top 3 crimes, that's one of them. You know what I mean? Like, child molestation, murder, rape. And she's running with rape. You know what I mean? Like, just the economics of the economics of the evil. It's really bizarre to behold when you look at it. It's like, okay, so you're going to take this lady who, the whole story stinks. Starting off, you're starting off from what, 35 years ago, when the dude was in high school. You have absolutely no corroborating evidence. You know what I mean? Or collaborating or corroborating, whatever. You've got nobody backing your story. You didn't tell anybody back then. You didn't call the police. You didn't tell your parents. You didn't tell your doctor. You didn't tell anybody. And you didn't tell anybody until 2012, when it looked like Mitt Romney was going to be the president and he was going to nominate Kavanaugh because he liked him if there was an opening on the Supreme Court. Then she goes and starts building her case by going to a therapist and saying, "Oh, Judge Kavanaugh raped me." See, you didn't tell anybody until 2012 when it was convenient. And now you've changed your story. And on top of all of that, this lady is number one, she's a Palo Alto teacher of psychology, right? Palo Alto is where all the tech industry is. You know what I mean? It's like the cerebral cortex of liberalism. There's all kinds of pictures of her standing there in a pink pussy hat, wearing a "Not My President," or holding a sign that says "Not My President." It's like, gee, I wonder which way you lean. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing. There is like the opposite of something to this story. There is evil. Like, not only is it's like, is anybody on the left going to stand up and just be like, look, Feinstein, you're going way too far. If this doesn't work, and it won't, this is going to blow up very badly in our faces. People will never forget this. Yeah, again, the economics of it. It's like, what do you hope to gain by this? Because nobody who considers themselves anything to the right of, anybody to the right of like Jane Fonda, you know what I mean, or Harvey Milk, you know what I mean, just these leftist losers. Nobody to the right of those people. Nobody to the right of Peter Fonda. Nobody with any sort of conservative inclination whatsoever is going to look at what Dianne Feinstein is doing and say to themselves, oh, you know what, this seems legit. Kavanaugh looks like a monster. I'm going to go down to the post office and pick up a voter registration card and fill it out and change my affiliation to Democrat. And now I'm going to vote Democrat from now on because Dianne Feinstein is running this lady out who was saying that Brett Kavanaugh tried to rape her. No, there's nobody on the right or anybody to the right of anything is going to look at this. No registered Republican, Libertarian, whatever, nobody is going to look at this and say, boy, this seems legit. I'm going to vote a different way now for at least the next 6 years. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to do that. The only thing that you can do by doing this is lose. It's the people like Brandon Straka. He's the head of the walk away movement. You're just convincing more people like him. It was about a year ago or so when Brandon Straka, the walk away guy, decided, you know what, I've had enough of this hate and lying and, victim mentality and victimhood and all this. I've had enough. I'm walking away. And he started a whole movement, and now he's on TV and whatever, and Facebook banned him the other day. There's a lot more people out there like him that just haven't walked away yet, right? But they're all waiting. They're all waiting for the Democrats to be what they thought the Democrats were, like the champion of the working man and the people who were, the head of the nanny state and all, that sort of thing. They're still waiting for that. And all they're seeing is the Democrats and liberals just acting viciously, acting evil. Evil. Yeah, that's what it is when you accuse a man. And to my opinion, like when I look at Kavanaugh and I hear the things that he says, it's like, dude, that's a good man. He's a good guy. He loves his wife. He loves his family. And because you've got nothing on him, you're going to take this lady she's just full of hate. And she's got this BS story because she went to college with him, high school with him. She made up this story. And she's going to try to accuse him of rape. And by the way, in a court of law, this would never fly. It's like, you're not going to get a criminal conviction. This is never going to court because you have absolutely no evidence. You have nothing. You didn't tell anybody, because there was that Roy Moore guy down in Arkansas or whatever. Remember that about a year or so ago? The Roy Moore guy. There was that, those ladies that came out and said, oh yeah, he, touched me inappropriately or whatever. But there was evidence of that. Those girls back then, they went and they told their parents, and they went and they told their doctors or whatever it was. Like there was corroboration. Am I saying that right? This lady's got none of that. So it's like, so Dianne Feinstein, what are you hoping for here? Are you hoping that justice will be served in a court of law where she can file a criminal charge against this man? Or even a civil suit? Maybe you're going to get a civil suit. Maybe a judge in civil court will hear you. What evidence are you going to present? You're going to present absolutely zero evidence on what you are claiming is a 35-year-old cold case. What are you hoping to get? Well, there's only one thing. There's only one thing that they're hoping to get, and that is to smear this man's name and his career for the rest of his life so that your political opponent doesn't get his way. That's evil. That is some next level stuff. And by the way, there's no possible way that this works, in my opinion. There's nobody. You know what I mean? Cory Booker can sit there and say, I am Spartacus all he wants. This is not going to fly. They're just going to lose more voters. They're going to lose more support, and they're going to lose more money. I don't know if you're aware of this or not. You keep hearing, listen, I've said this a million times, like, if you want to know the truth about something, follow the money, right? Conspiracy theories, just follow the money. It'll lead you right to where you want to go every single time. Here is the truth about the Democrats. They are not only dead broke, but they're still miraculously losing money. And they don't have any money, which makes it kind of a miracle. They have no money, and yet they're losing money. They're dead broke, and they are losing their constituency. There are no Republicans that are thinking to themselves like, oh, these people seem legit. They're saying some things that are making a lot of sense, man. I need to go, but there's no Republicans. There's no people that are registered Republicans or consider themselves libertarians. There's nobody moving their political affiliation and their voter registration over to Democrat. The Democrats are only losing. And the money tells you that. The fact that they've lost, like 600 legislators during the Obama years, like they're just losing. And in a panic, instead of doing the responsible thing, the thing that they were actually elected to do, right? People elected those people. People looked at those people and said, look, man, your politics, they really resonate with me. I really like what you're saying. I'm going to vote for you because I really hope that you bring about this thing in our politics that I want. Right? So it is Dianne Feinstein's job, Jerry Brown, as much as I hate that guy, like these people, these Democrats, it is their job to stop what they're doing, huddle back up, and say, look, man, we need to tear the team down and rebuild it. Just like the San Diego Chargers or the Cleveland Browns or, whoever. Like, we have to tear the team down and rebuild it. We've lost, and we've lost mostly because of ourselves. We just lost a rigged election. We're losing money. We're losing constituents. We're losing legislators. Like, we're losing left and right. We better stop what we're doing, but they're not doing that. They are putting the hammer down on the gas pedal, and they're saying, oh, whoa. Instead of doing that, instead of doing the right thing, instead of doing the thing that our constituency has held us responsible to do, what we're going to do is go for this big Hail Mary. This ridiculous story from 35 years ago, from back in 1983. We're going to bring up this story, and we're going to run this lady out who has zero credibility. Everything that can be said about her says she's just doing this because she hates Trump and she hates Republicans, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm serious, like, wearing the pussy hat and holding the sign that says, not my president, like all these things. There is nothing credible about this lady's story. And you would think that that these people that are running this campaign, that Dianne Feinstein is the head of, you would think that they would stop and be like, is there any possible way that this blows up in our face? Well, there is pictures of her wearing a pink pussy hat holding a not my president sign. Well, there is the fact that there's zero corroborating evidence. You know what I mean? Like, you would think, like, if you're going to pull off a crime, right? Remember, did you ever see the Thomas Crown affair? It's like, dude, if you're going to pull off a crime, you have to reverse engineer the crime. And you have to figure out all the ways that you are absolutely going to get caught and minimize the risk of each one of those things, right? Otherwise, you're doing what's called a smash and grab, right? Somebody runs into a bank, says, "Give me all the money, or I'm going to kill people." That's called a smash and grab. Like, there's no thought that goes into it. You're just going in, trying to grab the money, and hope that you can get out the front door, back in your car, and down the street before the cops arrive, right? But to pull off a caper, right, like the Thomas Crown Affair, if you ever saw that movie, or because that was actually based on a true story, loosely, and remember Entrapment with Catherine Zeta-Jones, and like there's these wonderful movies and stories that we have about stealing jewelry, or a bank heist, or like Die Hard, right? They had it all figured out. They had all of the like, this is the cops are going to arrive, and this is we're actually going to use the police to get ourselves free from this situation, or we're going to we want to steal those jewels. So what we're going to do is we're going to buy a building three doors down, and we're just going to tunnel all the way through, and then we'll go in at night. And you know what I mean? Like, you have to think. You have to think about all the ways that you're going to get caught. And it's like Dianne Feinstein is running a smash and grab operation. Like, let's just throw this lady out here who clearly hates the president, clearly hates anything conservative, is a diehard liberal, and she's got a phony baloney from 35 years, story from 35 years ago. It's bizarre, and it's evil. It's evil. Because they're not thinking like, well, what if we tell this BS story and people believe it? This man's life will be ruined. He's got children, for God's sakes. Like, why would you commit to that level of evil? It's bizarre. So, dear atheist, can I please at least convince you that there is evil, and that it belongs to a network, and it comes to a head at some place in the universe? Is that too far-fetched? Because look at it. That's evil. There it is. And somehow I'm going to tie that into, it's the love of money. We're going to get into that. But first, Donald J. Trump declassifies the Peter Strzok text messages. The Strzok and his girlfriend and all that. Now, this is big news by itself. I don't know if you've seen some of those emails or text messages and emails that have been declassified and have now been shown to the public, but it's like, oh boy. Wow. So these people, Strzok and Comey and, John Brennan and those people, I guess they've just been sitting around this whole time going, it's all right. Trump is never going to declassify these. Like, why would you think that? Like, did you forget what you said? You know what I mean? Like, did you think that was no big deal? Now they're declassified. And the embarrassment of this thing that is now being referred to as the deep state. It's all real. The deep state is real. Now we have their text messages. And we can see what they were saying. We can see what they are plotting. Now, I'm very happy about this. I'm sure you are too. But there's an even bigger implication here, right? Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, or POTUS, as I like to call him, declassifies this particular thing. That particular thing then embarrasses his enemy to an unrecoverable degree, right? Now, Donald J. Trump looks at his work, right, and rests, for it was good. He sees how he viciously embarrassed his opponent. His opponent was using the FBI and the CIA to try to bring him down in an effort with Hillary Rodham Clinton and with Pink Pussy Hat Lady's husband. By the way, there's a whole tie into that. I forgot to mention that. But Donald Trump right now is watching this whole thing play out now that he just declassified those. Economically speaking, right? If you can draw from a well once, right, and you get good, sweet water out of it, like when you run out of water again, you're probably going to want to go back to that well. You know what I mean? There is so much that needs to be declassified, and a lot of people have been calling for it. Now, I've never had top secret clearance. I certainly don't understand the inner workings of the FBI and the CIA and the National Security Agency, but I can tell you this. There are certain things that need to be protected by, security clearances, top secret. Things like how to make a nuclear bomb, right? Did you know that if it were not for that man and his wife that stole the nuclear secrets back in the day, it was like the 50s or the 60s, they stole nuclear secrets and then went over to Russia and gave it to the Russians. And they were found guilty and they were executed. If it were not for those people, the United States would be the only nation on the planet with nuclear weapons. You understand that? Nobody has been able to figure out nuclear weapons on their own. Smart people, like Iran, Iran is not one of the Middle Eastern nations that's full of dummies and sheep herders and cave dwellers. Like Iran is a contemporary, you know what I mean? They produce good scientists and mathematicians and that sort of thing. Even they've not been able to figure it out. The only reason that the Soviet Union from back in the day and China and all these other people even have nuclear weapons is because the nuclear secrets were stolen, right? So if the federal government comes out and says, listen, we are keeping a secret, we need to be able to ask, well, what's the secret about? Well, it's about how to make nuclear weapons. Then the American people can say, you know what, that's a good call. Go ahead and keep that from our eyes. We don't want to see it, and we certainly don't want anybody else to see it, right? When the federal government keeps a secret, that secret has to be, the nature of the secret can't be a secret, right? I'm not talking about secret plans like, oh, we're going to invade some country and this is going to be our plan. It's like, yeah, you got to keep that secret, right? But the government would still be able to come out and say, well, listen, we have some military strategies that we're about to, prosecute, and we can't tell you what they are. But just so you know, it's about military movements. Then the American people can look at that and be like, yeah, okay, all right, you can keep that a secret. But when it's like, oh, we have these rogue FBI agents, and they said some very compelling things about trying to undermine the office of the presidency of the United States, and we need to keep it a secret what they actually said. It's like, no, you don't. You don't have the right to keep that a secret from us. You have to get permission from the American people. We need to see that. And what I was getting at is that now Donald J. Trump is going to be looking at the declassification of these texts, and the American people are going to say, well, what else can we declassify? And the popularity of this declassification is going to reach that man's ears. This is the first president in history, right? Because Twitter's a brand new thing. Twitter's a brand new thing. Social media is a brand new thing. And when President Trump does stuff like this, the people respond and the president can see it. And the president right now is seeing that, oh, this is being met very favorably by the American people. The keeping secrets from the American people. This is being met with very much favor. And it has embarrassed my opponent. Let's see what else I can declassify. Why not? I'm in the office. I can declassify whatever I want. There's nothing I can't declassify. I can declassify Colonel Sanders' secret recipe. I can do whatever I want. I'm the president. I can declassify anything I want. Good for you, Mr. President. There is a great deal more to come on I believe we're going to see the president of the United States moving into a habit of declassifying things, and then we're going to find out some very uncomfortable things about our politicians, which is good. The purge, right? You know, have you ever been, back when you were a kid? I remember for my 20th birthday, because I was born on the 20th, so when I turned 20, it was my 20th birthday, and I drank a liter of Absolute Citron. I was sick as a dog for many days afterwards. But you remember when you were a kid, you drink too much and then you'd get real sick and you'd have to throw up, right? And you'd throw up and it was really hard and like your whole body winced and you know what I mean? You barfed up all that stuff and it was uncomfortable and you're having trouble breathing and sometimes you get that puke up in your sinuses and it would burn your nose. Remember that? Like it was awful. But once you were done puking, oh, you felt great. You drink a little bit of water and fall right asleep. Right? Because you got the poison out. Right? Your body told you, like, you have to throw up, man, because you got poison in you and it's going to kill you if we don't get it out. So, bleh, and you threw up. You got all the poison out. It was very uncomfortable, but it was necessary and you felt great. Well, a whole lot better right afterwards. Well, we've been slowly poisoning ourselves. We've been allowing our politicians to get away with literally murder. Right? I saw a funny meme yesterday, but it's not very funny. Think about this. Barack Hussein Obama is the world record holder for a person with a Nobel Peace Prize who has killed as many children as he has. That is a fact. Barack Obama bombed the crap out of Syria, killing thousands of people and a lot of women and children, all while holding a Nobel Peace Prize. Barack Obama has the record for the most kills by somebody holding a Nobel Peace Prize. We let that happen. You and I, as American citizens, we let that horrible truth come to pass. Right? That is a horrible indictment on the state of the union. We have a former president of the United States who is a Nobel Peace Prize winner who holds the record for most kills by a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Shocking, isn't it, if you think about it in that context? And we've been allowing ourselves to be poisoned a little bit, just like when we were drinking. Oh, this beer is okay. Yeah, it's okay to get drunk with my friends. And the next thing you know, you're an alcoholic and you're going to AA meetings. Well, that's where we're at now. And we need to throw all this stuff up, and it's going to be very, very uncomfortable. It has recently come to light. It is a fact that Congress voted themselves in a fund, like a sort of like a victims' compensation fund, to pay for all of their sexual harassment suits to make them go away. Using tax dollars. Your tax dollars and mine are going to pay off the victims of congresspeople. That's a fact. All right? We are sick as a nation, and there is some throwing up that needs to go on. It's going to be very uncomfortable. It's going to be very violent. It's going to get that, we're going to have that puke in our sinuses where it burns. We're going to have the dry heaves. There's probably nobody that's going to come into the bathroom with us and put a cool towel on the back of our neck or help us into the bathtub so that we don't puke all over the floor. So that, when Johnny's parents come home, they don't find some, puke everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be very uncomfortable. But it needs to happen. And the declassifications, these politicians have been using those classifications of secret, top secret, classified, this, that, and the other. They've been using that to protect themselves. Those classifications were never meant to be used that way. Those classifications were meant to protect us. Why is it that the scientists who figured out, how to make a nuclear bomb, why is it that we were not allowed to see that? Well, because there's a lot of assholes in the world, and we need to protect this recipe for how to make this kind of bomb. We need to shield that from everybody. Why? To protect you. Right? Because if this stuff gets out, then our mortal enemy, the Soviet Union, will have it, and we don't trust those people. See what I'm saying? These politicians have been using that to shield their misdeeds from the American people. That has to stop. And let me tell you something, folks. There's a very good chance that you're going to find out some things about, heroes, people that you respect, like Duncan Hunter of San Diego. Right? That's my guy. I mean, up until a couple of weeks ago, I was a big fan of his. Until I found out he was using, money that he raised to run his campaign to, buy a $600 plane ticket for his kid's bunny. It's like, dude, don't do that. Don't do that. Like you're being an asshole, and you should know that. There's no problem. I don't have a problem with people spending money like an asshole, right? If it's yours, if it's your money, if you want to fly private, or if you want to, fly first class, on a 4-hour flight or something like that, it's like, dude, like that's asshole. That you're spending money like an asshole, but like, dude, it's your money. If you're a grown man, like it's your money. But you're a congressman, so you don't have any money that is considered your money. That's all our money. Your salary is paid by my money. So my money is in your, I'm allowing you to have some of my money. And yes, it's yours now, but really, it's my money. You raise money to run your campaign so that you can get reelected. Dude, that's my money. I'm giving it to you so that you can stay in your seat. Not so that you can fly your bunny to Hawaii. Right? There is a lot more of that to come. We're going to be finding out about John Kerry, who was never a hero of mine. He's got an ugly wife who owns Heinz Ketchup. We're going to be finding out the truth about John McCain now that he's dead. And that's really unfortunate, because it's like, I didn't like the guy to begin with, but, God rest his soul, he's dead now. Why step on his grave? But, if Trump continues declassifying stuff, we're going to find out some stuff about that guy. And then we're going to have to piss on his grave. I'm not a big fan of that, but this is what we're going to have to go through. It's going to be hard. And you have to be ready. And I'm ready. I think we're all ready. I think we're all finally to that place where it's like, yeah, let's just throw all this stuff up and heave as hard as we can and just get all of this poison out of our system so that we can, pick up, start over again, and restore this country and make it great again. Bible stuff. Now, I tried not to get into this, but, as I was talking about Feinstein and whatever, but there's a bit of confusion, I think, over a lot of different parts of Scripture. Like, do not take the Lord's name in vain, for example. That's something that there's a lot of arguing about. In Christian circles, I've heard all of the arguments. I've been around people that were so like neurotic about things like this. I knew a guy once, he was a pastor, and he would not use the phrase hello when addressing people because it had the word hell in it. Hello. Literally, that's the person I knew. You know what I mean? Like a complete weirdo. But there's a lot of Christian people out there that are like that. You know what I mean? And they'll say things like, well, taking the Lord's name in vain is saying like, God damn it, or Jesus Christ out of context or whatever. It's like, no, that's not what that means. Right? Do not take the Lord's name in vain. It doesn't mean if you slam your thumb with a hammer and you yell out, Jesus Christ, that you've blasphemed the Lord. That's not what that means. Right? My last name is Dobson, and I am married. Therefore, my wife's last name is now Dobson. And if she wanted to, right, if we were back in the United States, she could, without my knowledge, she could go down to a bank, fill out an application for a loan, right, and borrow money using my name. Because she has my name. It's part of her now. And she, you know what I mean? This could be done. And by the way, this happens all the time. This is not some far-fetched thing. Men and women do that. You know, married people do this. Like you've probably heard a lot of horror stories about married people getting caught up in the addiction to gambling. And then the next thing you know, the wife comes home. She's none the wiser. She doesn't know anything's been going on, and all of a sudden, she pulls up to her house, and there's there's a moving crew there because the house has been foreclosed on, and you know what I mean. Because the husband went and mortgaged off the house so that he could gamble some more, and she got broadsided, and women have done it too, right? You got to think to yourself like, well, how did the bank allow that to happen? You have to have the consent of both people. But the fact is that they have the name and they used it. They used the name in vain. You follow? That's what taking the Lord's name in vain is like when you're representing yourself as a child of the kingdom of heaven and you bear the name of the Almighty and you're going around and pissing it away and creating 70,000 member mega churches and that sort of thing. That's using the Lord's name in vain. That's what that means. That's not actually what I wanted to get to. I wanted to talk about another contention of Scripture where it says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. Now this is, again, in Christian circles, Christians love to argue about stuff like this. You know what I mean? And there's an old joke. It's not even a joke. There's nothing that Christians argue about more than the importance of their argument, right? When people argue, they do that to feel, well, a lot of times when people argue about stuff, they do it because they need to feel important. They need to try to, it's like a manipulation tactic. Like if I can get you to argue with me about this thing that I want to argue about, then I'm causing you to focus on what I want, right? There is a narcissism in that. It doesn't always happen, but it happens a lot. And so there's that saying that there's nothing more argued about in Christianity than the importance of the argument, right? For the love of money is the root of all evil. Let me break this down for you. Let me tell you what it does not say. It does not say that love is evil. It does not say that money is evil. It does not even say that the love of money is evil. It doesn't say that. It says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. That means when you do find evil, when you dig down and try to figure out, like, well, where did this start? How is it that this evil has blossomed and bloomed and bore fruit? How did this happen? Well, I guess we better uproot it and take a look at the roots. What it's saying is that when you find evil, if you get down to the root of it, try to figure out where it started, you're going to find money. Well, you're going to find the love of money. For the love of money is the root of all evil. You can love money, right? You can have love, you can have money, you can love money. That Scripture does not say that the love of money itself is evil. It's saying that when you come upon evil, when you get to the root of it, you're always going to find the love of money. Now, this is kind of a weird thing, right? Because there's a lot of people that can give examples to say, well, obviously this passage of Scripture is untrue. because there's all kinds of evidences that I could give you of evil where it's like, yeah, there's no money involved there. I'll give you a very light, kind of a light-hearted example. There's that old joke, like, well, it's not very old, but it goes, how will you know if somebody is an atheist or a vegan? And the answer is, because they will effing tell you repeatedly, right? Ad nauseum. Now I'm sure most of you have met the vegan and the atheist, whoever. It's like they'll tell you that they're an atheist before they'll tell you their first name, or that they're a vegan, or that they're into CrossFit. You know what I mean? Now, that's a very light example of evil, but you know what I'm saying? It's like when you see somebody like that, there's an evil at work. It's like, why do you feel that this is so important to tell me? I don't know you. I just met you 5 minutes ago. I don't care about your religious or non-religious beliefs. I don't give a shit about your dietary habits. I just met you. I want to find out if you're into baseball. I want to find out who your philosophical heroes are, or you know what I mean? Like, I want to know about, I don't give a damn about your dietary habits. Why do you feel this need to tell everybody right away that you're an atheist, vegan, and into CrossFit? And the answer is evil, right? The answer is, hey, look at me. I need, when people do that, it's because they are trying to establish what's called intellectual real estate, right? They want to feel, they want to impress upon you that they are better than you because they don't eat meat from like a factory sort of, what do they call those places? Butcher places. They don't hurt the animals, right? They don't hurt the animals. They only eat vegetables, and they completely will lose their minds if you bring up the fact that thousands upon thousands of bunny rabbits and mice and birds and all kinds of little critters die when vegetables are harvested. You know what I mean? But the reason why they do, there is a reason why those people are so insecure that they have to tell you, like, oh no, I'm an atheist. Hi, I'm an atheist and my name is such and such. Hi, I'm a vegan and my name is such and such. There's a reason why that is, and it's insecurity. They need to feel right away that they are superior to you. And therefore, they are trying to establish and take over intellectual real estate. Right? You follow me so far? For the love of money is the root of all evil. Now this is kind of a tough one, because I just gave you an example of something where there is no money, and it's kind of a light, I could use a lot more severe examples. I just wanted to use one that's light and relatively inconsequential and funny. But think about it. There is no money in there. So either the scripture is wrong, right? Because there's no money in being a presumptuous asshole. Right? So either the scripture is wrong, or we're not conceptualizing money in the way that scripture was written. And is it possible that money, right? Like many of us, many of you listeners are dabblers and speculators in cryptocurrencies. Is cryptocurrency money? Is it a currency? Is it money? Is it the internet of money? Like, what's that guy's? Andreas Matonopoulos, whatever his last name is. Like his book, The Internet of Money. Is it money? Yes, it is. Well, is it currency? Well, yes, it is. Is it cash? No, it is not. Okay, well then how is it money? Well, how is it not? Of course it's money. Anything that can be traded, anything that the individual can conceptualize as having value is money. if you broaden your perspective to that degree, then anything that an individual sees as being valuable is, fits into the well, this is money category. And so when a vegan runs up on you and establishes that intellectual real estate, it's because it's valuable to them. See what I'm saying? And the love of that valuable thing is the root of that evil. Oh, I need to have this established real estate, this morally superior real estate where you murder cows and I don't. I murder bunnies and cute little mice and rats and whatnot, but that's okay. Those are ugly animals. You kill cute animals. Therefore, I am superior, better than you. Right? It's the love of money that is at the root of that evil. If you can consider the intellectual real estate, the moral superiority as being valuable to the individual, valuable and tradable, therefore it is money. You get it? So going back to the Diane, because I didn't want to, I wanted to talk Bible stuff at the end. So here we are talking Bible stuff, and putting this into perspective. That is it possible, right? Because when you look at this thing with Dianne Feinstein, now there's no money in it for her. Now the lady that's accusing Kavanaugh of rape, there is money in it for her, like book deal money. They're gonna run this course out, and some publisher will front her $40,000 to write a book about her horrible rape experience, and then that book will go to the shelves and it'll go immediately to the discount, because nobody's going to buy that, and then she'll get to keep her 40 grand, but the publisher will lose money. But she's that lady who's accusing the rape. She is looking for money, but more importantly, she's looking for her 15 minutes of fame. She can parlay that into going on to the Ellen Show and Oprah and these kind of places. She can stand in the warm light of the attention of the public. Dianne Feinstein, on the other hand, there's no money in it for her. And when I say money, I mean U.S. green cotton currency. Right? Dollar bills, y'all. There's none of that in for Feinstein, but that doesn't mean there's not money in it. If we expand what we conceptualize as being money, power, that's the money. Power is money. That old saying, like, money is power. Power is money. Power is tradable. Power is a commodity that you can influence other things and other people. You know what I mean? Like, power is currency. And if Feinstein can get this victory, then that's power. You know what I mean? And the love of that currency is at the root of that evil. That evil where she's trying to take a good man and besmirch his name for the rest of his life as a rapist. Why would somebody do that? What's at the root of that? It's the love of money. That's the show for today. I appreciate you all tuning in. I would love it if you hit subscribe. I would sincerely appreciate it if you hit share on your Twitty Twats and your Spacey Spaceys and your Kevin Spaceys and all these things. Do all that, and if you want to help keep the show going, show costs money, bro. If you want to help out financially with dough, with money, the love of money, go on to archadvocate.com, arch-advocate.com, archadvocate.com, archadvocate.com. You can go on to Patreon, become a patron. I appreciate all of you guys who are still kicking down a few bucks every month. If you want to do $1 a month, you can do that. It's like 3 cents a day, whatever, man. Every ounce counts. Thank you for your support. And if you just want to shovel some dough over like in a one-time thing, you can use PayPal. And that's also there, archadvocate.com. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.